This is TNC Movie Nights right here on the shirt, right there. Real simple. We got merch. Yeah. See, he's not wearing it. He's wearing.
I'm rocking.
Yeah.
Rocking the umbrella merch.
Yeah, it's always good. We always try to plan it out for you guys. But hey, we're back after a fun watch-thon, a terrible watch-thon of Elf. I don't know why I did that to myself, but you know what? We had to do it. Today is November 30th, the day before December. And to get into Christmas spirit, we watched Elf a little early. And it's going to be a fun month. To start off the month for all of you, though, we have a structure episode, talking about ways, different things that happen in movies. Specifically for today, we're talking about sound and music in movies. So it kind of be a general sense, maybe someday, if we need more topics, we'll break down the music, break down sounds, really get into it. But this is kind of the general sense of, everything sound in movies. And it's going to be fun because also to kind of lead into it, we have our review already planned out and I already watched it. Look at this. We're ahead of the game already. We're trying to be the best we can.
Baby.
We're watching Quiet Place this week. I've never seen it myself. I've seen little pieces of it here and there throughout the last couple of years. So yeah, I'll save my thoughts for the review tomorrow night. But Alex, how you doing? We're talking music and sound today.
I'm doing well, man. I'm super excited about this. I feel like music and sound and sound effects and all that are so criminally underrated in a movie. But if you just take them away or tweak them a little bit, you can get an entirely different tone. So this is kind of a nerdy episode, but I'm also kind of excited for it because we get to kind of nerd out a little bit. And maybe, who knows, maybe there's someone out there who is so into the sound, they're like, finally some recognition. Or maybe the other way. Maybe you don't give a crap about sound. And today's episode will be like, you know what? I misjudged you.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're just two idiots talking about movies.
Yeah, or you just turned it off already. And we would understand.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, of course, if there is a, sound, music in a movie that is your favorite, it could be something that makes a scene better. It could be something that just the whole soundtrack just does it for a movie. Let us know in the comments, tweet at us, message us on Facebook, any sort of social media. If you want to, for whatever reason you're weird, and email tncmovienights@gmail.com. Got that too. I'm plugging the email today.
Man, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah, we are. We're talking music and sound.
That's going to be the thing. We're going to get like 30 emails this week. And still no comments, no shares, nothing. 30 emails. But you know what? We're just trying to interact with y'all. We want to know your thoughts too. We hear each other talk all damn day. So waiting for some outside source. And thank you if you have commented. We do notice, and we always try to comment back. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Alex, Mom.
I'm up. But you mentioned that we're going to watch A Quiet Place, and that's the first thing that I want to talk about. I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but I do want to mention it in this episode.
Okay.
Because we're going to be talking a lot about different things that they do. Oh, you said do. But you could be just as great at it by something you don't do. And something that this movie really, really does is they limit sound completely. One of the main characters is deaf, and especially when you're in her perspective, you don't hear anything. And when you're not, the whole movie is about being quiet. And so everything is silent. And I specifically remember being in the movie theater, and everyone was silent. No one was opening candy. No one was chewing popcorn. No one was sipping their drink, because you had this whole atmosphere where you literally heard every single footstep. You heard the breeze, you heard nothing else. And so everyone was just trying to be as quiet as they can, because we don't want anything bad to happen. And so no one eat your popcorn or we will kill you. And so it was so powerful. And like I said, we're going to really dig into that in our review, but I couldn't get through a sound episode and not mention A Quiet Place. Any thoughts on that before we move on, Brandon?
So it's really funny because I feel like we're both going to have very different perspectives of this. As we've mentioned before, I'm a little bit more of the stuff in my face with popcorn, enjoying those big blockbuster action films, and a lot of my sound and music today is going to be the exciting moments, the big moments, the crescendos, all those moments in movies. And I feel like, Alex, you're going to really kind of hone in on the there wasn't a lot of sound, or that just the break of sound, those little moments. So I'm really excited to kind of see where you take it from that side of it. So
yeah, man, it's crazy, and it totally is. I mean, when you're talking about sound, it's about things that make noise. It's sound. It's literally sound. So it's A Quiet Place is something that's very special and very different, and that's definitely why I wanted to mention it, because the rest of it is going to be about things that actually happen and sounds that are made and projection, and then you're just like, wait, why are we whispering? Because they're quiet on the screen. You're like, this is really cool. But anyway, I'll let you start off.
So it's impossible for me to go an episode like this without bringing up superhero movies. And for me, honestly, a lot of the moments, it's not even just about the soundtrack itself, because I'll get into that a little bit when it comes to Lord of the Rings and Batman movies as well, but more how they implement the music for the big moments. For example, the first time the Avengers are all together on screen in the first Avengers movie, when they're all right above Loki, kind of the rise right there. And then as well as again, another crescendo moment of, goodness, what was it? Endgame, when the female heroes all kind of are on screen together. It's those really large, exciting moments of, it's funny because it's kind of a no-duh moment. Like, we know it's special, but then the music hits just right, and it adds a little something else to it that just you didn't know you needed, because it could have been silent in that scene and you still would have been excited, but that extra little juice it gives, it just gives you chills.
For real, man. Such a good thing to bring up, and I don't even have any notes on that, but that is such a true statement there, because when you see them on the screen, you're like, this is really cool, but then you feel it from all the music. You're like, oh, something's happening. Oh my god. And then you're just like, what was that? Music, baby. So I'm really happy you brought that one up, because I didn't have anything to say about that, but that is such an important thing to say. Something that I can kind of go along with that, though, in the line of superhero movies, though, is sort of a different way to use sound and music, and that's not to be tone setting, but just having a bomb-ass soundtrack. That's one way where you can kind of spin it a little bit, and you're just like, you know what? We're just going to get everyone kind of feeling it in the theaters. And I think one of, not just the best superhero movies, one of the best movies to ever do that is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Thank you.
Yes. Were so freaking good at that. And that's not to discredit their use of sound effects or music in the background as sort of something that you don't notice right away, but you absolutely feel the effect of. But I mean, just straight up, when he puts his headphones on and you're, hey, you're like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And they have the whole opening sequence, and they even joke about it in Endgame. It was so damn good. And I knew so many people that was their first movie soundtrack album that they bought, because it's amazing. I mean, it really is just something that really sets the tone and really puts you in the right mood for that movie. And so I want to give them extra kudos for that, because that was just perfect.
Again, as I brought it up, I definitely agree. And another one I just want to touch on, I think this might be the last one related to Marvel that I talk about. And again, I want to try to separate sound and music, because it is both very important, but I want to kind of, we both touch on both of those here. So the last one I'm going to talk about for at least Marvel music is Into the Spider-Verse.
Awesome.
That soundtrack,
I thought you were going to go Deadpool with the salt and pepper in there, but you know what?
It's so good. It is really good.
I think Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse is one of the first soundtracks outside of Guardians that I actually would go on to Spotify and listen to the soundtrack, because it was so well done. And the thing I loved about it, they had a piece of music for each Spider-Man character. So anytime they came on screen, there was a little something special for each individual Spider-Man that you could maybe hear the music playing a little bit before you saw they came on screen. And I've watched the movie probably about 5-6 times now, so I just hear that, I'm like, oh, Noir, or whichever Spider-Man it might be at that time, and it's really exciting to kind of have that quick reaction of getting to hear the music and the different characters that could potentially be coming on screen, or the big moments that they have as well.
Yeah, man, that's something that, again, is one of those that it's so obvious, but only if you think about it. Because if you weren't actively thinking, oh, I am reacting to the music before even seeing the character, you just know that you're reacting to the music before you see the character. And that's something that you can absolutely do with sound. And that's something that happens with, whether it's music itself or sound effects. Oops, bumped the mic again.
Sound effects.
Sound effects. It's something that if you just think of some of the greatest movies of all time, or some of the most memorable movies of all time, there's usually something in there that just hearing that sound immediately invokes a very specific reaction, and it's usually related to that movie. And I have a couple of specifics here. One of them is Psycho. Everyone, whether you've seen it or not, whether you like it or not, you know that high-pitched screeching, that's so ingrained in our brains, just societally, that you hear that and you're like, it's just, you feel that, you know it's Psycho, you know exactly what someone is talking about, you know exactly what someone is referencing, and it's just noise. It's just strings. And it's the same thing with pretty much anything that John Williams does, because he is a master of sound and music. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Jaws, dun-na. You just need two sounds, dun-na, and everyone goes, Jaws, that's it. But I mean, let me see, I got a list. Star Wars, E.T., Jaws, Indiana Jones, the first 3 Harry Potters. He did Schindler's List. He did so many great movies, and I'm sorry if I didn't mention yours there, because I know there's some people who like John Williams is this, John Williams is that. For some people it's Star Wars, for some people it's Jaws. It's just amazing. You hear the intros for any of them and you immediately know what it is, and it doesn't even need to be a very specific thing. Someone could just be like running through a parking lot or whatever, and you hear and you immediately know what someone's talking about. And that's sort of that power that the music has for you. And that's something that it feels very specific to sound and sound effects. And so it's something that it's so, God, is it good. I appreciate it so much, man.
I want to piggyback off that a little bit, because you brought up how a specific chord progression or note, or just something with music, you hear it and you know like this scene, or you know what movie it is. I found a really cool list here, and it's playing off that, but a sound that you hear in a movie, and you're like, I know what that is. And a couple on the list here is Liquid Metal from Terminator, the Spider-Man's Web Slinger, the iconic sound, the car doors of the DeLorean, and Back to the Future. And then there is a couple more in here I really like too, the 188 degrees head turning of Exorcist. The sound effect.
I have stuff to say about The Exorcist 2 later. I don't want to interrupt this.
No, you're good. Another one is the I don't even know what to call it. I don't know, the tongue roll that they do for Predator, like when they're in the visor.
Yeah,
that's another
that's
great one. Oh my goodness, I love that one. And then the last one I'll name off on here I thought was really cool, of course, is the lightsaber sound.
Of course.
No,
I mean, of course. Everyone, whether you like it or not, whether you personally have seen it or not, it is so ingrained in everybody, like societally and culturally, that if you hear that, like, you're like, oh, this is lightsaber. I don't even watch Star Wars, and I know it's a lightsaber. Or I don't even like Star Wars, and I know it's a lightsaber. Like I said with the Jaws thing, like, you just hear it, and it's like a hindbrain sort of thing. Your body reacts before you even have a chance to think. And it's unbelievable. But the freaky thing about The Exorcist with that 180-degree head turn is that also shows you how powerful subtle sounds can be, and how truly animalistic and hindbrain that reaction is. And I'm sure this is a very well-known thing, so I'm not really breaking news here, and it's also a movie that's like 40 years old. But part of the sound effects that they used for that movie was the sound of buzzing bees, because the sound of bees and that guttural sort of, like, I don't want to say feral, but the animalistic reaction to the sound of buzzing bees puts people on edge. It instills this feeling of fear. And so without even realizing they're doing it, without the audience realizing what was happening, you had everybody watching this movie feeling very uncomfortable and already afraid before anything scary happened, because without realizing it, they were listening to the sound of bees, which just makes you feel kind of like, oh, I don't like what's going on here. And that's like, it's unbelievable. It's something so subtle and so subliminal and so not having anything to do with the movie can have such a powerful reaction without us even realizing it.
No, which again, I definitely love that, and it's crazy to see what just the sound effects, not even just music, can do to us when it comes to movies. Do you by any chance have a favorite sound? Because I was looking through a list of different sound effects in movies, and when I first saw it, I was like, I know exactly what mine is before I saw the list, and then I was scrolling through, and I'm like, I think I have two. I'm really torn.
Oh, I want to hear them.
The first one I was like, I know this is my favorite sound effect, was the Wilhelm scream.
That's so great.
Love it. So good. It's great. It's terrible. It is terrible, and it's put into movies when it shouldn't be, and it is perfect. The one that made me think, oh, I might be wrong, is the boom of the Inception sound, like this dropping of everything.
Yeah.
I just... The first time
bass, you feel it more than you hear it.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time seeing that movie in theaters. I freaked out of like excitement of how cool it was having that moment happen. So I was so proud to go with the Wilhelm scream, because at the same time I hear it, I just chuckle. So I definitely love it.
That's so great. I don't know if I necessarily have like a favorite sound, like a very specific one. But I am a total nerd when it comes to how they make sound effects.
Oh, yeah.
And I've learned like some of the ways they do it, and I have some of my favorites for that. So like, this is a very specific and very weird example, but how they made the belly bouncing sound for Po in Kung Fu Panda. I love that. They used like strings and drums and a water bottle, like a 5-gallon water bottle, so they could get that perfect like boom and have that sort of reverberating sort of belly sound. Some of my favorites are for like if a character breaks someone's neck or snaps a bone or something like that. A lot of times they'll just use like celery and carrots and stuff, and so it's so great because it's just stuff you could do at home. Like anyone watching right now, maybe don't ruin it if it's fresh, but if you have like kind of rubbery celery and you're like, I gotta throw this away, next time you go to throw it away, just take it out of the little plastic that you brought it in, that you took it in from the store and you never took it out. You put it in the drawer and then it got kind of mushy and it smelled kind of bad and then you threw it away, because you do that 9 out of 10 times. I do it too. But before you throw it away, just grab it and give it a twist. And then imagine you're watching a movie of someone like breaking someone's neck, or a crappy action movie where someone like breaks somebody's leg or whatever. It sounds so specific to that because that's just what they do. They'll just grab some celery and just... And it's amazing how simple some of these things can be. And some of them are just... I love the practicality of some of them. Like if you have somebody walking in high heels across hardwood, they'll just put high heels on someone and have them just kind of stomp in place with the screen so they can get the hardwood. It's that simple. And then other times they have to use these like multi-layered sound effects for something that you don't even hear. Like the basic punch that I punched the mic again, but that little whoosh, that has like 7 different things in there, and almost none of them involve hitting something. So like someone who will just like slap their hand, or if they have like a piece of meat, they'll just hit that. You'll have someone like thumping their chest. You'll have someone with like walnuts, and they'll crack the walnuts to give that like cracking sound of a really hard punch. And I mean, you'll have a stick whipping in the background for that sound, and they'll just layer them all together, tweak them all. And it's something so simple. It's a half a second, just a punch. That's it. But it involves so much, and it's so in depth. It's amazing. If you ever, like, 2 a.m. YouTube rabbit hole, go watch how they make sound effects for anything. It's so freaking cool, and it's so fascinating. So that's my long-winded, non-committal answer to your question.
I'm glad you went in that direction, because while you're right when you started, I pulled something up I wanted to talk about, and it was how they make the Chewbacca sound, because it is fun. I have the whole list of how they make it here. It's noises made by bears, walruses, lions, badgers, and multiple sick animals is how they make the Chewbacca sound. So it's so shocking, because it's weird, because people can imitate it and to a T do it, but on how much work that they did to get that sound right whenever they have it in for Chewbacca is just crazy. And it's cool, like you mentioned, for just simple sound effects, a half a second punch sound effect took probably an hour, multiple hours for them to just edit it, not even make the sound. So it's really cool to see how much work goes into just the simple sound effects.
Unbelievable. And some of the weirdest ones, like I think for the tornadoes in Twister, I can't remember if it was a camel or a cow. It was one of those two that was just making a noise, and then they like played it slowed down and in reverse, and that's how they got the sound for the tornado. It just, some of the stuff you hear, you're like, who even comes up with that? Some of the manipulation that they have to use to get to that point. It's like, how did you start with that to end up at this? How did you pick a cow or a camel? I don't know what it is. I feel like I should look it up. But, I mean, we're not a facts-based show. You know that. We're just two idiots talking about movies. But they'll start with that and then, okay, pitch it up, speed it up, or slow it down, play it in reverse, play it with this in the background, play with this effect on it, play it with this underwater tone on it. And you're just like, all right, now it's tornado, I guess. Cool. And it's crazy how much truly goes into that, and how some of the most iconic sounds started in some of the strangest places. Like you were just saying about Chewbacca. I mean, that's another thing. You do that, everyone knows what you're doing.
Oh, exactly.
And you're like, oh yeah, there's just a lot of really sick animals.
Yeah. It's funny because I looked up other sound effects, how they're made, and Ben Burt, I think it was the same person who made the sound effect for Chewbacca, to make the lightsaber. He was inspired by hearing two simplex projector motors harmonizing with each other, and then recorded it. Paired with the transmission whir of a TV set, the basic lightsaber tone was created. So he just...
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. He just heard two simplex projector motors harmonizing, and he's like, that's the sound we need for Star Wars.
I got this. And they talked about in A Quiet Place, too, on how they tried to make the sound for the monsters. And it's crazy where some of the places you go and some of the sounds you start with and the manipulation you have to do to end up where they are. It's really amazing.
Yeah. It's so cool.
I love that. There was another one I was just thinking of, and it totally just escaped my mind. I hate when that happens. If only I had a sound that could trigger. This is all just like Pavlov. We could just name this episode Pavlov, and it would be like, oh yeah, when you hear Chewbacca, it's just a bell. It's just sound. Hey, you're just training yourself to listen to a sound and have a reaction to it. Are we smarter than we are, or are we dumber than we are? I really can't tell with this episode.
Sometimes
I think both ways.
Sometimes I think we're smarter, but we just don't realize it. Sometimes we just think we're rambling, but we're actually hitting pretty decent points, and we'll never realize it. The viewers will possibly realize it and just laugh at us. But hey,
right.
It's all right. We've talked about music in different parts that emphasize certain moments. We talked a little bit about soundtracks, and we talked a lot about just sounds in general. When it comes to a movie, what is, I guess, the most important part for you? Is it the build up moments or the coming down moments? Is it the sound effects or is it the entire soundtrack?
In regards to sound itself, I think, God, that's a really good question. I also remembered what I was going to say, but that's a really good question because I think they're all so important. Because if you're watching a movie and you see something not make a sound or make a sound it's not supposed to, it really takes you out of that world. Because if a movie is done well, it's really easy to just get lost in it, to forget that you're sitting in a chair watching something on a screen. You feel like you're part of that, and it's so hard to earn, but so easy to lose. Because when you are lost in that moment, if someone like punches someone in the face and you just hear like, boing, you're gonna be like, what was that? And then immediately you're right back into a chair and you're watching something on a screen. You immediately lose it. But I think one of the easiest ways to have someone get lost is by that background sound, whether it's music or just tone setting sounds. It's so easy to get lost in a movie when your body feels like it is in more than one sense. You know, you're watching the screen, but if you're in a field and you hear like quiet, soft music in the background and birds chirping and wind rustling and, you know, there's a tree in the background, your brain just goes, oh, I'm there. So I think that's the most important thing to earn that feeling of having your viewer get lost in your piece. But I think the sound effects are one of the quickest ways you can lose that. So again, very long-winded, non-committal answer to your question. But real quick, the other thing I want to talk about was how important that the sound effects are, also in like the props department too. This is something that it was very popular. I don't even know if it was a TikToker or a YouTuber. He was a props department guy, and he was showing how they coordinate with the sound department because they're mixing the sound for everything. So it is very, very important that it's all very controlled. Everything that makes noise is supposed to make noise, and everything that isn't supposed to, that does, is a distraction. It's something that can ruin a take, it can ruin a scene, it can add so much work. If they can correct it, it takes a lot more work, and if they can't, you just lost the scene. So it's really funny to see how they come up with stuff like vinyl bags that look like paper that are silent, or I think one of the other ones was they painted racket balls to look like billiard balls. So when they're playing pool on screen, it's very quiet and you don't get the loud clacks. So they can do a scene in a pool hall, but not ruin all the takes with the clacking of the balls. Or if someone's walking home with groceries, you have rubber props in a vinyl bag, so they're almost silent. Cool. But they look exactly like that. And so that way, in the booth, they can take just some, you know, a paper bag and crinkle it up exactly how they need it to be. They could take pool balls and knock them together exactly when they need the sound to happen. And so that's another thing where it's something you might not notice on the first watch, but it's all kind of fake. If they're at a bar and people are dancing to music, and you hear, you know, beer glass sliding across a bar top, it's an old saloon, whatever, someone's playing pool in the background, that's just a bunch of silent people moving to nothing on a sound set. They're just kind of bopping to nothing. You can see it a lot if you watch like bloopers too, because they haven't mixed those because they don't need to. One of my favorites is from Iron Man, when they're all dancing on the plane.
Yeah.
And there's no music on in the background because it's a take they didn't use. So of course there's not going to be music. And yeah, everything is silent. And then they go in, they add the music, they add the sound effects, they add the chatter in the back of the bar. Every extra in that bar is silent. And they add the chatter in. Or if they are talking, they were set up specifically so that wouldn't interfere with the shot. They would record that so they could use that as the background. And everything is so controlled. It is so like quarantined off. So every sound is exactly how, where, and when it's supposed to be.
It's funny because I knew at a certain point that they had to do that, but I never really thought about it, how goofy it must look. If you could be a fly on the wall in a room like that, just getting to watch all just the silent people moving and making gestures, just to be able to actually pick up the perfect quality of the sound that you need to do later. So it's definitely really cool to see that. We covered a lot today.
My God, go watch a party scene. Go watch your crappy like 21 and over. No, what was that? 21 or over, or I don't know why Underclassmen just popped into my head. That horrible Nick Cannon movie that's fun to watch. Just anything that involves like a crappy high school party scene in someone's house with a pool or whatever, and everyone's dancing, and that's just a bunch of people with fake cups with nothing in them moving to nothing. They're just like,
God, I wish I was good enough at editing. I would definitely take that and just edit the heck out of it.
You would not do it any justice. It would be like operating sounds in the bathroom. I open my mouth and it's just chicken sounds coming out.
That'd be fun though. Oh goodness.
Power of sounds, man. Power of sounds. It's wild. Man, we did cover a lot today.
Yeah, we definitely did. And again, let us know your favorite soundtracks, your favorite sounds, your favorite music moments, maybe your least favorite, the moments that take you out of movies. Just let us know in the comments. Let us know on Twitter, Facebook, email. But yeah,
floats your boat, man.
Man, it's been a fun episode. But Alex, where can the people find us?
Well, Brandon, the people can find us all over, but if the people want to find us quickly and easily, they can go to thenerdchambers.com. That's where they can find all of our stuff, all of our shows, all of the links to all of the places, including the Facebook, the TikTok, the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube if you're watching, the whatever your podcast platform of choice is if you're just listening, but thenerdchambers.com. And while you're there, maybe check out the link to our merch shop. Get some merch. Just saying. Looks good. Feels good. It's comfy.
Yes. Thank you very much, Alex. And to let everyone know, we have three giveaways going on right now. 1, 2, 3. We have one currently on twitch.tv/TNC Penguin. If you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh booster box, Phantom Rage sealed booster box. Once I hit 100 followers on the Twitch channel, that is twitch.tv/TNC Penguin, or once I hit 500 followers on facebook.com/TNC Penguin. We have two more giveaways, one of them being a $100 PSN gift card. That is on twitch.tv/TheNerdChambers. We're hitting 250 followers. Once we hit that, be giving away a $100 gift card for PSN. Finally, our last giveaway is one free game off of your Christmas wish list. All you need to do, go to the Nerd Chambers Twitter. There is a Google Doc in there. You need to go ahead and fill that out with your 2020 predictions for the Game Awards for, again, 2020. Whoever has the most accurate predictions once the Game Awards are done, I want to say that is next Thursday at this point. So when this is coming out, a week and a day from that day. So when that comes out that Friday, we're going to announce the winner. Put your Twitter handle in the Google Docs. There's a little spot for it. We'll reach out to you, and you get a free game if you win. So, man, got a lot of stuff.
And if you need some research on what to pick or who to pick to win, check out our very long episode that we did with almost the whole Nerd Chambers crew, where we gave you our picks. I think I'm going clean sweep here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who half the people I voted for are, or what half of it. I don't think I played maybe like 2 of those games, but I can feel it. I feel good. I think I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that game too, because we also get one too.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, the whole Nerd Chambers crew, whoever does win that as well, we have our own separate giveaway going on, and then also plus a giveaway for the viewers. So if you want a free game, if you want a Yu-Gi-Oh booster box, if you want a $100 PSN gift card, go to the giveaways. Go find them. thenerdchambers.com. Real nice and easy for you. But that's it. It's been a fun time.
I'm going to send you away with a sound. See how important it is when it's not there? Boom. Later, folks.